Thank you, Leah, and thank you, Mary, and thank you all of the musicians playing tonight, and Hotel Elefant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's so good to have you here. So, Michael Gordon, everybody. So nice to hear that again. I should say, I'm sure most everybody here knows, but Michael, of course, is one of the people behind Bang on a Can, and I think also really well known for writing kind of big, epic pieces. Usually, I remember, like, the first time I think I met Michael, we were talking, it was kind of a masterclass type situation. And he said, yeah, I write pieces that are an hour long. Like, that's what he does. Like, Michael Gordon, I write hour-long pieces. So, the Sad Park's not an hour-long piece. But I was looking through my, all the Michael Gordon CDs in my iTunes, and Sad Park is definitely one of the longer ones, and For Madeline, just one of the shorter ones. I just wondered, just to kind of get things started, like, how do you approach these different kind of things differently? I mean, when you know you're writing a big long piece, or maybe you know you're writing maybe a little bit shorter piece, like, do you change your diet? Does your metabolism change?
Definitely brown rice with the long pieces. You need not candy bars with the short pieces. I really don't know. Yeah. The long pieces don't even get. It's like going through part of your day before you have coffee. So they don't get started until 15 minutes into the piece. Right?
Yeah. So the concert tonight, actually both concerts that Hotel Elefant have done so far have been about Remembrance, and both of your pieces tonight are about Remembrance, kind of, each one in its own different way. Let me throw another kind of maybe too abstract question at you, and see if maybe you have another diet recommendation for that. It's just, one of the things that I'm always really curious about is thinking about memory is how kind of elusive they are. Like, you try and think back on things that have happened in the past, and things get kind of exaggerated or distorted, and memories kind of change and shift, and the memory I have of something might be different than the memory you have of something. And at least in these pieces, I mean, how do you begin to translate some of that into music, into your compositions? Maybe a little too vague again?
Well, all this stuff is vague, and I think that's what's so great about music is that it's vague. For Madeline, which was just played, is basically a piece I wrote after my mother. For my mother after she died, and there's no way you can say. There's no way I could basically say those words. And what is that music? How would you translate that music into words? I mean, that's what's so great about that. It's about the music. About writing music and playing music. It communicates in a different plane. With Sad Park. There are words, and the words were, the background very quickly. My son, 4 years old, right after 9/11, and I lived down just about a half a mile north of where the World Trade Towers were. So he's going to nursery school in the neighborhood where all the kids have gone through the kind of trauma firsthand, and we're there and saw this, and it's ongoing, and the pre-K teacher is taping them talking. They would just burst out in.
This teacher has like a tape recorder or a boombox or something in the room.
Boombox with a cassette, and every time, one of the kids would go, and she'd just, click and turn the boombox on.
And she's just trying to find a way to document it in some way. Or
she was interested in the doc. She would go home every day, or, when the cassette was filled, she'd go home, she'd write it all down, and then she went back and taped over the same cassette again, so she has this one cassette. She wasn't interested in keeping and when I went to pick up my son one day, and Luann, who was the teacher, was telling me about this, I was, can I borrow that cassette tape for one day? He gave it to me, and I went home and I copied it onto, I made a DAT copy, and I listened to that tape, and that's almost like music. It's almost impossible to understand what the kids are saying, what the words. I had to listen to it over and over and over again and find it.
Well, I was just saying, I don't remember if you're the one that said this or if I've heard others just talk about children when they're speaking. Just that it's somehow naturally for children until they get to a certain age, it's very melodic. A lot of their language is very melodic.
Yeah,
it sounds very operatic in a way.
They sing anyway.
Especially in these tapes that you found, or that you got from the
it's total. They're singing, and you can't understand what they're saying, and it just sounds, it's very abstract, and so that's what it was to me until I started to be able to, listen enough to pick out their words.
Yeah, so we're just jumping around here a little bit, but in the Stringboard tip, you're going to hear Sad Park. You'll hear that there's an audio track that goes along with it, with the sound of these children. It's really prominent in the beginning, but throughout almost the whole piece, you'll hear slowed down versions of some of this. Yeah, there is that. And actually, just as we're talking about Sad Park, I just think everybody would be interested just to know, or at least I found it really interesting, how you got the title. This is really great.
So on this tape, in the end, I used 4 little quotations from 4 children who, and just basically ordered it in the order of the events that happened on September 11th. But of course, my son is on the tape too, and I really wanted to use his voice, but I just couldn't make it work. But he on the tape at one point, the teacher, the kids, or somebody, they're talking about what are they going to do there in this empty space where the World Trade Towers stood? And my son says they should build 2 huge jungle gyms and let children play there and call it the Sad Park. So it's really beautiful.
Well, it's really great to hear these 2 pieces tonight, and you always find these really incredible textures and rhythms that you put together in these pieces. And I just want to thank you again on behalf of Hotel Elefant, and thank you all for coming, and thank you for coming. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thanks.